his company to secure a sound position for him as a father.
Number 12 for Bob Hollifield's Deer Park Wildcats is quarterback Mark Harris. In addition to operating the offensive machinery, he's individually rushed for 7 touchdowns and passed for 9 TDs, and defensively he's tied for the team lead in interceptions with 5. Madeira halfback John Dunn, number 21, is 6th in city rushing. He's scored 11 touchdowns, and he's averaging over 30 yards per kick return this season. From Deer Park Stadium, Cube Sports presents high school football. This week, the Madeira Mustangs go against the Deer Park Wildcats in a hard-hitting Eastern Hills League contest. In addition to Mark Harris and John Dunn, tonight we'll see the classic matchup of high-powered offense versus stingy defense. Madeira's 295 per game offensively versus Deer Park's 169 yards per game defensively, and Deer Park's 395 yards per game on offense versus Madeira's 205 yards per game defensively. Good evening, everybody. I'm Andy McWilliams, and it's my pleasure to welcome back from a Caribbean vacation former NFL and Bengal quarterback John Stofa. And John, you look great for the cameras with that little touch of a tan.
Andy, thank you. It's a pleasure being back with you tonight.
Well, you came back for a good one. This should be a tremendous football game. Madeira comes in at 6-2. Deer Park, one of the top teams in the city. They are undefeated, and both teams have a chance at the playoffs.
Both teams have a chance at the playoffs. Both teams are well coached. They're coached by 2 people who played under Eddie Bowles, former coach at Xavier University, now with the Houston Oilers. They've got a good background. They're both disciplinarians. They're teachers of the game of football, and both teams will be exciting tonight.
I know Madeira is making their 2nd appearance on Cube Sports this year. You had a chance to see them against Indian Hill, and they can play pretty good offensive football.
They sure do. Dunn is an outstanding young man. They've got a good offensive line that gives them the holes that they need. Again, they're well coached and they're well disciplined. I think this is very important in high school football.
Their coach is a man by the name of Jim Prather. Jim is very proud of his 6-2 record, and we talked to him during the warm-ups before tonight's game. Jim, everybody's talking about Deer Park's great season. They're undefeated. They're talking about their chances to make the state playoffs, but I know you think Madeira has an excellent shot of making postseason play.
We certainly do, Andy. We're ranked 5th in Division 4 in Region 16, and our last 2 opponents are Deer Park and Wyoming, which are both undefeated. And, I think it's a must that we win both ball games, but with 2 wins, that should put us right in there.
Deer Park has given up only 49.6 touchdowns all year long. How do you attack a defense that's been so tough?
Well, we feel Deer Park's defense is super, but we think we've got some things we can do at it. We'd like to try and get the ball outside on them and try and throw the ball in the flats a little bit. But I think the big part of the game tonight for us will be our defensive unit, whether we can hang with them.
Deer Park is unbeaten, John. They're 8-0, and they've amassed 395 yards a game on offense. That is number 1 in the Cincinnati area.
It sure is. They are one of the 4 undefeated teams in the greater Cincinnati area. As we said, they're well coached. Bob Hollifield, in his tenure here, has 38 wins, 37 losses, 3 ties. This is his first Eastern Hills Conference Championship. They have done an outstanding job. They've been a very, very fine football club. They're offensively, we expect them to use multi-formations. They'll use the I formation, they'll use some splits, and they'll show some different formations. Defensively, we'll see them what we call a split 6 down linemen. They'll come after you. They'll do a lot of blitzing, a lot of stunning. Mark Harris does a nice job as a quarterback running and throwing the football. And, of course, they're going to be missing Jerry James tonight. Jerry James is their leading rusher. He is the number 2 rusher in the greater Cincinnati area. He's rushed for almost a 6-yard average, over 1,000 yards this season. He could be, and missing him could be a turning point in the game tonight.
I know you had a chance to talk with Bob Hollifield, who is having a most successful season before the game.
Yes, and I think we'll have Bob's comments right now. Coach, you're 8-0 going into tonight's game. You've won the Eastern Conference. How about the importance and significance of tonight's ball game?
Well, I think we've divided into 3 categories. Number 1, we won the Eastern Hills League Championship, and we'd like to be the undefeated league champions. The Madeira team has done a real fine job. They've lost 2 games, and I don't want to back into the Eastern Hills League champion. I'd like to win them all. The second thing, which is very important to us, is have the opportunity to go 10-0. Our school has never gone 10-0. I think it would be great for our community and the people that support us all these years. And the bottom line is to have the opportunity to go to the state playoffs, which Deer Park has never done before in football. But we've been traditionally a baseball school, and the kids have done an outstanding job there. And I want to prove to the community we have a great team of athletes, and we can go in football this year and baseball.
Welcome back to Deer Park Stadium. This should be a beauty, an Eastern Hills League game as we look at the Deer Park cheerleaders and the Deer Park band, and let's go down to the field for our national anthem. Just an excellent night for football, John Stofa. Temperature in the mid-60s, and this place is just filled with people anticipating what may be the best game we'll televise all year on Q.
Andy, I think you're right. Certainly the people sense it here. They know both clubs are, as we talked about, up for this ball game. They're very well coached. As a matter of fact, before the game, Jim Prather and Bob Hollifield kidding and teasing each other. They're longtime friends, former teammates at Xavier University. And there's a lot of personal pride as well riding on this ball game. Certainly Prather's team would like to upset Hollifield's Deerfield Wildcats, and I'm not sure exactly what we're going to see, but I think we're going to see a wide open football game.
They're the Deer Park Wildcats coming out onto the field, and they're definitely cast in the favorites role in this ball game, John. They have run up almost 400 yards a game in offense. That's incredible in a high school football game, which only goes 48 minutes.
Offensive statistics are incredible. They've done a super job. But again, they're missing Jerry James tonight, their star running back, and whether or not Jerry's absence will have any significance in the ball game, we're going to find out. But taking an offensive weapon and threat out of the ball game could be a factor.
Jerry James had rushed for 1,027 yards, second in the city, and also he contributed 11 touchdowns in the first 8 games for Deer Park, and he broke a wrist in last week's 40-0 romp over Loveland. And we were talking to Coach Hollifield before the game, and he says if his team does make the state playoffs, there's a chance that Jerry James could be back for their opening playoff game, probably against Hamilton-Baden.
Certainly be a welcome addition, I'm sure. What had happened, talking with Bob before the game and asking Jerry, how did it happen? And said it was kind of a freak thing. He was down, reached back to protect himself and brace himself, and somebody landed on his hand, broke a small bone in the top part of his hand, and should be out another couple weeks.
A junior by the name of Paul Abney will take Jerry James' place in the Deer Park backfield tonight. And in talking to Coach Hollifield, you get the impression that he is not that worried about Jerry James' absence. Sure, he'd love to have him. Anybody would be crazy not to want a 1,000-yard rusher, but he has a lot of confidence in his offensive line.
He sure does. He gives them an awful lot of credit. He's got some good size in his offensive line. They're quick, they're fast, they're very agile, and they execute very, very well.
Here come the Madeira Mustangs with a 6-2 record. They won their first 5, then they lost 2 straight games. But last week they came out running and gunning, and they defeated a good Marymount team 27-7. So it would seem that Madeira would be on a roll, have some momentum coming into this very important game for them.
Well, you and I are both on the field prior to the start of the game, and I think that we both sense the fact that both teams are up. Both teams are fired up. Mentally, they're ready to go. The enthusiasm is there. And as you can see down on the field, the clapping and the patting, they're ready.
Chances are that Madeira will have to throw the football tonight to be effective offensively against a very excellent Deer Park defense.
We look for Deer Park to open up a little bit more. They'll be running out of a number of different formations. Basically, they'll run out of an I formation. They'll use some slots. They'll use a lot of rollouts. They'll take advantage of anything that Madeira will give them.
Now the captain's coming out to the center of the field. Number 42 in the blue jeans, wearing his game jersey, is Jerry James, the injured Deer Park halfback we've been talking about. He's out with a broken wrist. And number 33 is Mike Heaton. Heaton is the starting fullback for Deer Park. Number 22 for Madeira is Dave Schweppe, one of their defensive backs. And number 76 is Howard Jacobs, who starts on both the offensive and defensive lines. And let's see who won the toss here. Madeira has won the toss, and they'll take the football. And that's the first break of the ball game, as you want to keep the ball away from that Deer Park offense. Here are the officials for tonight's game. The referee, Jim Brewer. Bill Vinson is the umpire. They use a four-man crew in the Eastern Hills League. Head linesman Bob Obert, and Bob Morgan is the field judge. You might think that Deer Park might be in for a bit of a letdown tonight. They've clinched their league championship, but I don't think so. As you can see, the enthusiasm shown in their huddle there. They want the state playoffs, and they're not there yet.
Exactly, and this is, again, listening to Bob talking before the game, three factors. They've won the championship. That's not enough. They're looking for the state playoffs, which is certainly their ultimate goal, and Deer Park has never gone undefeated. He wants a 10-0 record. His team wants it. He said the players are shooting for it, and they're all fired up, that's for sure.
Deer Park is currently ranked third in Region 12, Division 3. Now, they have to be among the top two teams to make the playoffs, and that means that Deer Park must overtake Urbana to meet Hamilton-Baden, which pretty well has cinched the championship in the region. So they've got to probably win tonight and then beat Amelia in their final game and go undefeated to jump over Urbana and make the playoffs.
And, of course, they're aware of this. Bob Holofield is aware of it, and this is something that they talked about earlier. The first series will give us a good indication of just what Madeira is planning to do. Let's see if they're going to come out throwing the ball, whether or not they're going to come out running the ball. Let's see what type of a pattern they'll establish.
The place kicker for Deer Park is number 11, Scott Griswold. Griswold, one of the top kick scorers in the entire Cincinnati area. And we have double safeties for the Madeira Mustangs. Number 21, John Dunn, who's averaging 30 yards per kickoff return. And number 20 is a quick little back, Tom Craver. I know you saw him in that Indian Hill game and were impressed.
Yeah. If you watch Scott Griswold kicking the ball, he's got the ball laying on its side. He was coming out before the game, and this is a hard ball to handle. It's a squib-type kick.
And they want to keep the ball away from Dunn, and they've done so successfully. Craver picks it up along the near sideline. No, he let it go out of bounds. Let's see if they'll drop a penalty flag here. Was the ball touched, or was it not? Nope, they're going to call a penalty, and that was a rather dangerous play by Madeira because the football was live, and if it hadn't gone out of bounds, a Deer Park player could have pounced on it for possession.
Exactly right. Deer Park, once again, trying to keep the ball away from Craver, away from Dunn, the deep men. They don't want to give him any running room.
Well, apparently they've ruled the ball out of bounds. They've given it to Madeira. They get excellent field position at their own 40-yard line as the Madeira Mustangs put it in play 1st and 10. The quarterback is Dave Banks, who throws very well. They send a man in motion to the right side, and we have a penalty right off the bat. And the Madeira players are signaling that it's encroachment against Deer Park, and that's the indication. And Deer Park a little anxious right off the bat defensively. So a 5-yard walk-off, and that'll make it 1st and 5 for Madeira at the 45. Dave Banks, the junior at quarterback. He's 6'2", 160. He pitches to Dunn. Dunn trying the right side. Cuts back to the middle, and he picks up maybe a yard.
Good defense by Deer Park. Dave Banks, number 5 quarterback for Madeira, is an outstanding young quarterback. He throws very well. He runs with the ball. We'll see some good poise. He drops back into the pocket. He'll sit back into the pocket. And here we have the Madeira offense at guard. Al Farlow, center. Well, a little slow there. And
they have pretty good size, but not as big as Deer Park. Deer Park's number 73, the man in the middle, is Barry Pettyjohn. He is 6'6", 245. He goes both ways for Deer Park.
And there are a number of college scouts interested in this young man. Besides being a good football player, he's also a very fine student.
It is a 2nd and 4 at the 46. They go with a pro set, a wing left. They give it to number 34. Madeira's number 34, Lee Wilkinson, and he is jammed up for just a short gain. He might have gotten another yard there. Lee Wilkinson, the ball carrier.
Deer Park playing very, very aggressive defensively, really attacking the ball, not giving Madeira very much running room.
There are the two, there's the Deer Park defense, and they play basically a 4-man front. They move a couple of backers up on the line, the outside linebackers, to make it a 6-man front at time. They give it to John Dunn, and Dunn gets good yardage. Looks like he has first down yardage on a gain of 6 or 7 into Deer Park territory. So they go to the bread and butter man, the man they usually give the ball to, John Dunn, and he gets the first down for them.
Dunn is a fine runner. He's got good explosiveness, good quickness. He hits the hole with authority, and any little hole you give him up there, he finds it, and he'll pick up yardage for you.
The Mustangs with a first down at the Deer Park 47. Here's the first pass of the ball game. They try to hit the tight end, Tommy O'Donnell, and that pass falls incomplete. We have a flag on the play, and it looks like it's going to go against Madeira.
Number 43, Scott Constable, did a nice job in knocking the intended pass down. Got his arms up there, read it very nicely. It was a nice fake into the line by Banks, raising up, trying to hit his tight end coming over the middle.
Banks has one advantage over a lot of high school quarterbacks. He's 6'2". He's got good size.
Yes, he does, and it is very important, especially when you've got some pretty big offensive and defensive linemen. He has the ability to see over them.
We've played about 1 minute 40 seconds of the first quarter. As Deer Park is, Madeira is penalized for holding. Here's a rollout by Banks. He flips it down the far sideline. Good reception there. The ball picked up by number 35. That is Matt Jansen. And Jansen rambles for about 30 yards after making the catch on that pass from Banks.
You'll see a lot of that combination tonight. Matt Jansen is a fine receiver. He's got good quickness, good hands, runs some nice patterns. That time he went down about 12, 14 yards. Turned around, Banks hit him very nicely with the ball. 26-yard pickup, Andy.
And that overcomes the holding penalty against Madeira. They have it 1st and 10 at the Deer Park 25. Banks gives it to the upback, Wilkinson, the fullback, and he is dumped for no gain at the 25-yard line.
Deer Park staying in what we call a split 6 defense, a very aggressive defense. They like to come after you. They'll do an awful lot of stunning and blitzing off of this defense. They attack the ball.
Madeira messengering with the guards. Number 62, Al Farlow, coming off the bench with a play from Coach Jim Prather. Now they go to the I formation and shift into the split backfield. They send Wilkinson in motion and pitch it to Dunn, who tries the right side. He has good yardage down near the 10-yard line. Pickup of about 14 yards by John Dunn, and they're attacking the left side of that Deer Park defense successfully.
Once again, John Dunn talking about his explosiveness and his quickness. A good example, a little quick pitch from Dave Banks, and Dunn makes a nice run and picks up a few yards.
That is another Madeira first down. They have the ball at the Deer Park 10-yard line. This has been a 50-yard drive so far, and they've overcome a holding penalty. Banks gives it to Craver, and Craver spins down inside the 10. That's Tommy Craver's first carry of the game.
Andy Madeira staying in a T formation, keeping all backs in, double tight end, and just grinding the ball out. It's a ball control offense, an offense where they're going to come after you and they're going to make things happen just by controlling the football.
That was a pickup of about 2 yards by Craver. Make it a 2nd and 8.
That's Bob Hollifield shouting some instructions to his defensive unit out there.
Now a full house backfield for the Madeira Mustangs. They give it to the upback. No, they give it to Dunn as he tries the right side. An excellent defensive play there by Deer Park.
Yeah, Mark Englert, number 71, did a nice job in the interior line for Deer Park. You know, we talked about these two teams in the Eastern Hills League. Loveland is also in the Eastern Hill Leagues. They're 4-2. Marymount has a 4-2 record in the Eastern Hills League. Sycamore is 3-3. Milford 2-4. Glen Estee is 1-5, and Indian Hill is 0-6.
That's a loss of a yard on the play. Makes it 3rd and 9 at around the 12-yard line. Banks fakes to Craver. Now he looks to his left. He goes into the end zone. It is incomplete. That pass intended for Matt Jansen, and he was double covered.
Mark Feldhaus, number 28 for Deer Park, did a nice job in covering number 35, Matt Jansen. Matt Jansen, we'll see a lot of passes thrown his way today. As we said, Dave Banks likes to throw this young man. He's got good hands, good quickness, and he gets downfield pretty good. Nice defensive play that time by 28, Mark Feldhaus.
So Lee Wilkinson is in the game to attempt a field goal, and they'll spot the ball at about the 20-yard line, make it a 30-yard field goal attempt. Number 20, Tommy Craver, will hold here, and Wilkinson will attempt a 30-yard field goal. The ball is spotted. It is up, and it looks like it's got a chance. No. Yes, it is good. Just snuck in there over the left goalpost.
A good drive, good ball control by Madeira that time, showing that they're coming out. They're going to challenge the defense of Deer Park. They controlled the ball. They did a nice job. They mixed up the run and a pass. Dunn and Craver doing great jobs running with the football.
That drive covered about 50 yards as Madeira started the possession at their own 40, and they got down to around the 10-yard line before the Deer Park defense stiffened, and the scoring play, a 30-yard field goal by Lee Wilkinson. Madeira had the football for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. They were basically playing Deer Park style of football.
Yes, they sure were. And again, they're going to challenge them at their own game. They're going to go with what they feel is their strength, and they feel they have a good running game. They have two good running backs, a good offensive line, and they're going to try and pound the ball right down their throats.
This is one of the few times Deer Park has been behind in any football game this year. They've allowed only 43 points the entire season, and of course they're undefeated. So it'll be interesting to see how Deer Park responds to falling behind.
And I'm sure it's given Madeira quite a lift, and it's got their people sky high. Number 24 for Deer Park, Ed Woline, will be deep receiving the kickoff.
As Lee Wilkinson will kick off for Madeira. The Mustangs lead it 3-0. Wilkinson has just kicked a field goal, and it's taken by Woline inside the 10. Ed Woline cutting to his left, and he is hammered down at about the 20-yard line, an 11-yard return, and good coverage by the Madeira special teams there.
Number 56, Marvin Evers, did a nice job in getting downfield for Madeira and covering the kickoff. Evers is one of the 5 players that Madeira has going off, playing both ways, both offensively and defensively. Deer Park also has 5 people that go both ways, Andy.
Well, we have a penalty marked off against Deer Park, a personal foul, clipping on the return, and that's half the distance to the goal line, and so Deer Park will start off at about their own 11-yard line. And they get the bad field position. Madeira started at their own 40 in their scoring drive. First play from scrimmage, it's a rollout by the quarterback, Mark Harris. Harris getting excellent yardage. He might go all the way. Mark Harris ready to go 89 yards on a quarterback keeper down the near sideline. Mark Harris for the touchdown.
Beautiful run by Mark Harris. I'll tell you what, he showed some speed, some quickness on that, Andy. And we see Mark coming off the field, getting quite a bit of congratulations from his teammates. 5'10", 166-pound junior. Nice run.
That's your basic one-play, 89-yard drive. Simple quarterback rollout. Now the extra point will be attempted by Scott Griswold, and they're going for 2. Into the end zone goes number 28.
Mark Feldhaus,
Mark
number
Feldhaus.
28. Well, it's evident that the 3 points that Madeira got on their field goal had no real effect on Deer Park and Deer Park's attitude. They came right after him. They came back with a nice run by Mark. He did a nice job of getting upfield. One of the things that Madeira was concerned about was the versatility of number 12, Mark Harris. He's got good quickness, good speed. We talked about him early in the ball game. And here we have a shot of him sitting on the bench. But he's a game breaker. He has the ability to throw and run with the football, and any team that is 8-0 has got to have someone the caliber of Mark directing that offense.
So I guess you'd say the mood of the crowd has shifted about 180 degrees here. They were a little down after that opening field goal by Madeira, but now Deer Park has taken over the momentum in the football game.
Well, I think they came and expected to see an exciting football game, and so far they're seeing one.
Griswold to kick off. The ball comes to the short man, Wilkinson. Lee Wilkinson gets it out just short of the 40-yard line. And they're obviously trying to keep the ball away from John Dunn on the kickoffs.
Well, they're giving up some yardage, but what they're trying to do is keep Dunn from making a big run, from running it back. You've got to have a good defense that's capable of playing field position when you do have a situation like that.
So an electrifying 89-yard run by Deer Park quarterback Mark Harris. And now Madeira gets the ball back. Here's the quarterback, Banks, being chased. Banks throwing over the middle. It's complete, but just back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, Banks did a nice job in getting away from the on-rushing lineman, especially number 73, Barry Pettijohn. As we said, 6'6", 245-pounder. Did a nice job.
There's the Deer Park scoring drive. One play, 89 yards. It took 29 seconds. Well, whatever. And Mark Harris was the guy who made the run. It is a 2nd and 10 after that pass completion for no gain. They pitch to the deep back. John Dunn out of the I formation, and Dunn might have gotten a yard there.
Once again, the attacking, swarming defense of Deer Park coming out of the split 6 defense, following the ball, keying on Dunn. They'll be keying on him. The linebackers will be going everywhere that Dunn goes.
So it's a 3rd and about 9.5, and I would expect that Banks might look for Mark Jansen at this point.
Well, I think you've made a good bet, Andy. Jansen was open the last play when Banks had to scramble. Let's see what happens here.
Banks dropping back. He gets plenty of pressure. He scrambles out of the pocket, and he is knocked down for a loss of 2 or 3 on the play.
That time, Deer Park using one of their stunts. They have an end tackle game where the tackle goes around the end and confuse the blocking of the Madeira Mustangs, putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And of course, this is the best defense against the pass, is to put pressure on the quarterback, destroy the timing, as we've talked about so many times, between the quarterback and his intended receiver.
So number 34, make that Chip Smith. Number 12 is in to do the punting for Madeira. He's averaging 35.4 yards per kick. And he gets a good foot in it. Keith Steele fumbles the punt back around the 25, and he's covered quickly. And it's a 43-yard punt. Good boot by Chip Smith.
Well, good reactions by Steele. Almost a big play for Madeira that time. Steele did a nice job in recovering his own fumble.
So Deer Park will put the ball in play for the 2nd time on offense, and you can't do too much better than their first possession.
Exactly right. Madeira will be in an offset 50. They'll use a 50 defense. They'll use a nose man that they'll offset to the left or the right of the center. This time they've moved them off to the right or to the strength of the offensive formation.
Mark Harris on a flea flicker play. He flips over the middle. It's complete. They pass the ball to number 25, Randy Sandifer, just into the ball game. A little razzle-dazzle.
Well, Bob Hollifield's not saving anything this game. He's using triple reverses, end arounds, anything he can. He wants to put points on the board, and this is something, again, Andy, you said the almost 400 yards a game. We can see how they've been doing it. That was an 18-yard pass play that time, 18-yard pickup, 1st down.
The ball at about the 42-yard line. Mark Harris, the quarterback, he gives it inside, and off to the races is number 33. That's the fullback, Mark Heaton. Right up the middle.
Nice hole opened up in the middle of that line by number 78, Chris Sellier, and number 62, Carl Cox. And again, it takes good offensive blocking. It takes people up front opening holes for these backs to get through, and they're doing a nice job.
That is a 19-yard gain on that first down carry by Heaton inside the 40. They give it to Heaton again, and he struggles for 4 or 5 yards down near the 32-yard line. So everything that Deer Park is doing offensively is working for them.
You know, we talked about conditioning, Andy, and I think it was Holofield was telling you before the game how much he runs his players and the amount of time that they spend after practice just on conditioning and making sure that his players are in good shape. And what was the statistic that you told me in the second half? Very few points have been scored upon them.
They have virtually owned the second half of all the ball games they've played this year. They've outscored the opposition 269-43. Here's a second down play. They pitch it to the deep back. That is Paul Abney, and Abney is pulled down for just a short gain, and we have a penalty called against Madeira here.
Number 60, George Brenner from Madeira, did a nice job coming up, turning the play inside, making a tackle, and I'm not sure if it was piling on or personal. It wasn't a face mask, was it?
That's a personal foul of some sort. We'll wait for the official signal from the referee. It is, I believe, a face mask violation against Madeira.
It's a big break for Deer Park, and certainly an untimely mistake for Madeira, putting Deer Park in excellent field position, giving them a first down.
Deer Park comes out in an I formation. They have a first down inside the 20-yard line. Harris optioning down the line. He decides to keep the football. He fumbles, and looks like Madeira has come up with it.
Some good hitting in there. I'll tell you, Harris somebody popped him a good one coming up from that defensive secondary and just popped the ball right out of his hand. A big break for Madeira. But of course, these are the things that good hard tackling and hitting make happen. You make your mistakes happen.
So after a lengthy drive, Deer Park marching down the field in quick succession. Mark Harris fumbles the football, and Madeira gets it back. Deer Park leading the football game 8-3. They give it to the first back through, and he tunnels for 2 or 3 tough yards as Madeira got the football back at around the 12-yard line after the fumble.
Here we have a good shot of some of the offensive linemen in the Madeira front. We got number 79, Paul Jacobs. He's a two-way performer. At guard, number 56, Marvin Evers, is also a two-way performer. 62, Al Farlow, is at guard. 51, Craig Myers, is a center. And number 60, George Brenner, is at a guard. And Howard Jacobs, number 76, is at a tackle.
A 2nd and 7 as they flip it on the far side to number 20, Tommy Craver, and Craver doesn't get much there. Pretty tough to run wide against Deer Park.
It sure is. Bill Heiselman, number 82, did a nice job for Deer Park in containing the ball, keeping the back from getting upfield. This is the job of the defensive end, is to come upfield, turn anything, trying to get outside, inside, let the pursuit make the tackle.
Third down and just about 8 yards after a loss of 1 as Banks drops back to throw. He fakes long, now he fires again, and it is incomplete. That was intended for Matt Jansen, and the ball was just overthrown by Dave Banks.
Banks had Jansen open momentarily there, just slightly underthrew the ball. If he'd have thrown it just a little bit shorter, this is one of the things that a young quarterback, especially when they're juniors, and you have to learn that you've got to throw the ball if you're throwing a long pass, throw it when he's about 12 to 15 yards down the field. Throw the ball and let him run under it. Don't wait till he gets down the field 30 or 40 yards and then try and throw it. That's just timing and working.
So the second punt of the evening for Chip Smith of Madeira. And this time he's backed up into his own end zone to kick. We have double safeties for Deer Park as a low kick. It bounces near midfield, picked up by number 24, Ed Woolwine. Woolwine cutting for the far sideline, and he gets it back to about the 40-yard line. And so Deer Park will start operations in excellent field position.
Well, we've got a flag, Andy. Let's find out what we have here.
A flag dropped on the run back, and you'd guess it might well go against Deer Park here. They're talking to Madeira.
So far, I don't think the fans have been disappointed in the ball game and the type of ball game that's being played. It's a lot of hitting out there. There's been an awful lot of big plays for both teams. It's been a very, very aggressive, and I think we're going to see before this is over one fine football game. Illegal procedure, it looked like, against Deer Park.
And it looks like they're going to punt the ball again. Deer Park leads the football game 8-3. We have about a minute 12 seconds remaining here in the first quarter from Deer Park Stadium. Madeira got off to a 3-0 lead on a 30-yard field goal by Lee Wilkinson. And then Deer Park, on their first play from scrimmage, their quarterback Mark Harris went 89 yards on a rollout. And then Deer Park went for the two-point conversion and made it as Mark Feldhaus rolled out to his right and scampered into the end zone. Well, let's try to figure out what's going on in the field here. They marked off the penalty against Deer Park, and that will give a first down to Madeira, so they won't have to punt the football away. So Madeira gets a big break after a bit of confusion on the part of the officials as Banks gives it to Dunn, and Dunn breaks tackles and picks up a yard or two out across the 25 to about the 27.
Dunn hitting that hole awfully, awfully hard, trying to get any little bit he could out of it. There was virtually no hole in the line, and Dunn did it on just sheer second effort and desire and determination. That's a sign of a good back. Taking a look at the Deer Park defense, using the six-man front. As we said, a very aggressive and attacking type defense.
And a full house backfield for Madeira. This time they give it wide to the left. I imagine Tommy Craver carried the football there, and Tommy gets 2 or 3 yards up near the 30-yard line. That'll make it the third and a 3rd and 5 as Craver ran the pitch play to the left. 15 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Third down, they pitch it to the deep back, Dunn, and Dunn fumbles the football. It's loose. And it looks like Madeira has covered.
Looks like Dunn recovered his own fumble. It was a pitcher was slightly behind him, and rather than fall on a ball, which he should have done, he tried to pick it up and just kept kicking it forward. A tough break for Madeira, a big play by Deer Park.
And that's the end of the first quarter of action. Our score from Deer Park Stadium, the Deer Park Wildcats 8 and the Madeira Mustangs 3.
Cube Sports is proud to award checks for $100 to each of the local schools involved in our Friday night football game of the week. Each week, our panel selects outstanding athletes from each team to be named most valuable player based on his performance throughout the course of the game. Checks are then presented to the school's athletic department in the name of its most valuable player. Stay with us after this and every game as we present checks to support the athletic programs of these fine schools.
Again, we take a look at the Deer Park cheerleaders as Madeira has a 4th and long yardage deep in their own territory, and they'll be forced to punt the football away as Chip Smith, number 12, is in to do the kicking. Single safety for Deer Park. Number 24, Ed Woolwine, is the deep back. Smith, about a 35-yard kicking average. He gets this one away well, and it's taken by Woolwine. Woolwine cutting right up the middle, breaking tackles over the 50 down to the Madeira 45-yard line. A 36-yard punt by Chip Smith of Madeira.
Woolwine doing a nice job getting the ball upfield, trying to follow his blockers. One thing that I was impressed with the Madeira backfield in Dunn and Craver, the blocking that they do for one another. They're both good runners, but the thing running from their full house backfield to tee is that they have to block, and they do a nice job of blocking for one another.
Deer Park on their 3rd possession of the ball game. Quarterback Mark Harris. He gives it to the up back. That is the fullback Mark Heaton. And Heaton is stacked up for a gain of about a yard. Not too much there.
Tom O'Donnell, number 87. Nice job containing and making the tackle on that particular play. Good-sized young man. He got good movement, good quickness. Defensive end.
So far, Madeira has not shown any ability to stop the Deer Park offense. The only thing that stopped Deer Park last time was the fumble. Here's a pitch to the deep back, and he gets good yardage to the outside, finally brought down after a gain of about 10 yards on the play. That was number 23, the junior Paul Abney, the ball carrier. He's substituting for their usual number 1 running back, Jerry James. James out with a broken wrist.
Number 78, Chris Sayer, doing a nice job of blocking on that particular run. Gets off the ball awfully fast.
A gain of about 7 by Abney. It's a 3rd and 1. And they pitch it to Abney again, going for first down yardage, and he is knocked out of bounds, very close to the stakes on the far side. I don't think he got it.
Jay Shelton, number 10, did a nice job coming up from the defensive back position to make the tackle. Looks like Coach Bob Hollifield calling for a timeout. Wants to regroup his troops here, talk to them a little bit. Good shot of Bob, one of his assistant coaches. A little bit of strategy going on, determining what they should do. Quarterback, number 12, Mark Harris. Fourth down and about 3 yards, Andy.
I would guess with an offense that's averaged almost 400 yards a game, there's not too much doubt in this field position. You're going to go for it.
Well, I'm sure they are, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Mark Harris rolling out with the ball, option run-pass situation.
Not an awful lot of enthusiasm here at Deer Park High School. As you can see, the stands are full on the Deer Park side. There is not room for a dormouse in the stands. I'll tell you, they are jammed in here. Big 4th down play, tight formation. They give it to the up back. That is Mark Heaton, and I don't think he made it.
It doesn't look like it from here. A good job by the interior of that Madeira line. Did a nice job. Number 79, Paul Jacobs. Number 56, Marvin Evers. And number 76, Howard Jacobs, doing a nice job.
So Madeira gets the ball back on some inspired defensive play. And they've got it 1st and 10 at their own 38-yard line. Madeira trailing 8-3. They give it to number 20. That is Tommy Craver. Craver rambles inside the 40-yard line down to the 35. And that was an extremely quick opening play.
Sure was. Craver showed some pretty good speed and quickness in getting to the hole. That time, Madeira was running out of a slot left formation. Defense shifting over to the slot, and Craver did a nice job. It was a short trap up in that front line. Read the trap block very nicely, made a nice cut, and picked up some pretty good yardage.
That's a gain of 25 yards by Tommy Craver down to the Deer Park 36-yard line. They go with a wing right out of the split formation. They send Wilkinson in motion right. They pitch the ball to John Dunn. Dunn with an excellent gain. Down inside the 10-yard line. He's wrestled out of bounds.
Dunn did a nice job, Andy, after he took the pitch. Gave him a move inside, had the receiver, or had the intended tackler took a step inside. Dunn then made a nice move to the outside, made a nice run, picked up some pretty good yardage. Sign of a very fine back.
That was another gain of about 25 yards inside the 10 down to the Deer Park 9-yard line. And so the Madeira running game is starting to function. Now the quarterback keeper, here's Banks going into the end zone. What a play by Dave Banks.
Fine play by junior Dave Banks. Nice run, go up through the middle, broke to the left. Got some pretty good speed and quickness that he showed on that. And here we have a good shot of his teammates. Excited, rewarding Banks with a couple hand slaps and congratulations. Tell you what, they certainly are not awed by the fact that Deer Park came in here 8-0, undefeated with the statistics. Madeira is coming after him.
And Madeira does it on the ground. Long runs by Craver and Dunn, and then a 9-yard keeper for the touchdown by Dave Banks. And it looks like Madeira will go for 2 here. Banks rolling out, he gets pressure, he dumps the pass, but it's incomplete. And excellent pressure by number 82 of Deer Park.
Bill Heisselman doing a nice job. Yeah, blitzing from his right defensive end position. Tell you what, Andy, it's a pretty exciting football game. It's both teams are going after one another. Both teams are moving the football. There we have the score: Madeira 9, Deer Park 8, second quarter. Once again, it's all that we thought that the game would be. It would be an exciting ball game. The previous records coming into this meant very little.
Now the most points scored against Deer Park all season long. Sycamore got 13 points against them back in the 5th game of the season. So Madeira's already done a heck of a job offensively.
They sure have, and they've moved the ball rather nicely on the ground, mixing it up, mixing the run and a pass up. The ideal offensive situation, and they've got some explosive backs and some pretty good backs to carry that ball.
That was about a 62-yard drive on what? 3 plays, I believe. 3 running plays. A long run by Craver, a long run by Dunn, and then the 9-yard keeper by Banks for the touchdown. And Madeira has taken the lead 9-8. And we have about 9 minutes remaining here in the first half.
Ed Woline is deep to receive the kickoff. Number 34, Lee Wilkinson, will be kicking off to Woline.
Wilkinson approaching the football, and he gets a good kick away up the middle. It's taken by Woline at about the 10-yard line. Running to his right, he is knocked down at the 30-yard line. A 15-yard return by Ed Woline.
Dave Schwepp, number 22, doing a nice job getting upfield, covering the kickoff. Turning Woline in, not giving him any running room on the outside.
So in surprising fashion, Madeira has taken a 9-8 lead. Deer Park came into the game 8-0. Madeira, an excellent 6-2 record. Deer Park with the football. They give it to the up back. That is Mark Heaton, and we have a flag thrown as Heaton gets 5 yards on the play.
Looks like it may be a face mask call against Madeira, and it is. Of course, Deer Park's had a couple penalties that have been to their favor and enabled them to move the ball as well as their running game. Certainly something that Madeira cannot afford to do is make mistakes like that, give them any better field position than they get by themselves.
A 5-yard gain and a 15-yard penalty. There's the scoring drive for Madeira, and they did it in quick order on the ground exclusively. 4 plays, 62 yards. They took less than 2 minutes. And the quarterback Banks ran it in for the touchdown. So it's a 1st and 10 at midfield for Deer Park. Here's Harris rolling out after play action. He throws it down the field. It is incomplete. That was intended for number 80, Jim Burke.
Chip Gardner, number 33, doing a nice job for Madeira, running side by side with Chip. That time Madeira blitzed both their linebackers. They had 7 men rushing the passer. Harris, number 12, did a nice job just getting the ball off.
It's one of the problems when you blitz. You've got to depend on good single coverage in the secondary in case you don't get to the quarterback.
That's exactly right. There's one-on-one coverage in that defensive secondary, and if you give that quarterback the time, if you don't get to him, you're helping that receiver.
It's a 2nd and 10 I formation. They give it to the wide man, and it's number 24. That is
Ed Woline, number 24.
Woline.
Coming from his end position, a little end around. Once again, a little bit of, you can't call it razzle-dazzle, but it keeps that defense from pursuing.
That's a gain of about 13 yards on the play, down to the 37, and a Deer Park 1st down. Well, Deer Park is not usually a razzle-dazzle team, but they're going to some razzle-dazzle plays tonight. They must respect this Madeira defense. There's a pitch play and a fumble. The ball is loose, and Madeira has come up with a football.
Looks like George Brenner, number 60 for Madeira, recovered the football. Nice job by George. He came in from the defensive tackle position, coming in, making something happen in there, recovering the fumble.
That was a quick pitch play, went right off the chest of the running back. He couldn't control it.
Well, from their 50 defense with the 2 linebackers, Madeira is keying the running backs, and a little bit of razzle-dazzle. What we see is misdirection plays, trying to make the linebackers stay home to keep them from pursuing, get into the pursuit as quickly as they have been.
Bob Hollifield, the Deer Park coach, is a little bit worried, I would guess. His team has turned the ball over twice in key situations. A couple of fumbles. That's a dangerous play, though, when you pitch the ball that far to the deep back and he's already in motion.
It sure is, and it's something that it's a timing play. By doing it, you enable your offensive back to get outside the defensive end much quicker and much faster. But again, there is the error possibility, and that is a bad pitch or a fumble pitch, and we saw it happen there.
Now Madeira takes over at their own 42. They give it to John Dunn, and he is stacked up at the line of scrimmage. No gain.
Stacked up by the middle of the Deer Park defensive line, led by number 73, Pettijohn, a 6'6", 245-pounder. He's a big one. He's a real prospect in the middle of that line. He does a nice job.
Madeira leading the football game 9-8. That was a loss of 1 on the play. A 2nd and 11 from the 41. They go from the I formation. Here's Banks to throw. He flips it out to Craver. And Tommy Craver couldn't hold on to the football.
Just slightly overthrown. It was a nice play action fake. Craver was out there wide open. Just through his fingertips. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back to that. Also coming over the middle, we had number 87, Tom O'Donnell, was wide open on that play also. So we may see him come back to it.
Now we have a 3rd down and 11, and you'd guess that Banks would go to the air. He drops straight back, gets good protection, flips it out to the left. It is caught and incomplete.
It was Matt Jansen, number 35, making a nice diving effort. The official was right there on the spot, said that the ball had hit the ground before he caught it. But it was a nice try by Matt Jansen, 6'4", 185-pounder. Pretty good size, pretty good quickness and speed.
And they say that Matt Jansen is a definite major college prospect. A lot of schools are looking at him. Banks is 1 for 5 in the passing department. And he misfired a couple of times on that series. As Chip Smith is in to punt again. Smith gets the kick away. He angles it to the right sideline. It's picked up by Woolline at the 20-yard line. Woolline back to the 30, and he gets the ball to about the 31-yard line. Now they mark it at the 29. A 43-yard punt by Chip Smith of Madeira. There's Ed Woolline on the sideline, and we look to the far side of the field to Madeira.
Good shot at Woolline.
So Deer Park takes over again. They've had a couple of turnovers that have killed drives for them this evening. They work from the I formation. 1st down at their own 29. They give the ball to Mark Heaton. And Heaton, the fullback, gets about 5 yards out to the 34.
Deer Park staying basically in their I formation, doing not much throwing, trying to ball control, ground control football. Of course, they've made a couple big mistakes in the ball game so far offensively, fumbles and penalties, and they can't afford to do this, and I know it's something that they haven't been doing all year.
A 2nd and 5 at the 34. They pitch the ball to Abney, and Abney gets a couple of yards out over the 35.
Abney was tackled by, once again, Tom O'Donnell, number 87 for Madeira, doing a nice job, a good, hard, solid tackle.
I don't think Deer Park is used to 3rd down situations.
Well, I am inclined to agree with you, and Madeira is giving them everything that they can handle, that's for sure.
Deer Park has not had the football that much this evening, and they usually dominate in terms of time of possession. Here's Harris dropping back. He flips it out to the running back, Mark Heaton. Heaton with an excellent gain inside the 40-yard line.
Nice pass by Harris to Heaton. Just a little flare pass, the back coming out of the backfield. Heaton dropped, nice touch on the ball, laid it out there for Heaton. Heaton picked up some pretty nice yardage. A well-executed play.
That was a gain of about 23 yards on the play, one of the few times that Deer Park has thrown the football this evening. And the Wildcats have it 1st and 10 at the Madeira 40. They give it to Mark Heaton, and he picks up, about 11 yards inside the 30-yard line.
Great second effort by Heaton that time. He was stopped at the line of scrimmage, hit the pile up there as he approached the line, kept his feet moving. Good second effort, picked up a pretty nice gain. And there's, you see a nice shot of 73, Pettijohn.
Madeira leading the football game 9-8, but Deer Park is on the move. We have 4 minutes and 30 seconds to play, and again, they give it to the fullback. And Mark Heaton has been a lot busier than usual with Jerry James, their usual main ball carrier, on the injured list.
And you saw number 79, Paul Jacobs from Madeira, on the bottom of that pile. Good shot at the Deer Park huddle. Number 12 in there, Mark Harris, giving him the play. A little bit of encouragement. Let's go out and get him, guys. Let's execute. Let's not make any mistakes.
A 2nd and 6 at the 25 for Deer Park. And it's a quarterback keeper. It's Mark Harris on play action, rolling out to the left. And he gains a couple of yards inside the 25, but he does not have the first down.
Matt Jansen, number 35, playing defense, doing a nice job at the linebacker position. Harris faking the little end around that time, keeping the ball. Jansen doing a nice job staying at home, the way he's taught. Wait, make sure you know where the ball is before you pursue. Played it very, very nicely.
Deer Park with their best drive of the night. They've kept the ball mainly on the ground with the exception of that swing pass on 3rd down. Here's Harris back to throw. He throws it beautifully, and what a catch by number 23. That's junior Paul Abney. Great catch by Abney there.
It sure was. Paul Abney, 5'7", 155 pounds, not very tall, but doing a nice job in extending his arms and his body to catch that pass from Mark Harris. Harris doing a nice job, play action fake that time, put the ball on his hip, waited for Harris to, Harris waited for Abney to clear the line and did a nice job getting it there.
A gain of 9 on that pass to the running back, of 1st and 10 from the 15. And again, Harris back to throw. He fires it into the end zone. Touchdown! Number 81, Chuck Steely.
Another play action pass, Andy. They fake into their backs, and well-executed pass play. Keith Steely, 6'3", 210-pound senior. That's his 16th catch of the year. He's caught 15 coming into the game and averaged 23 yards per catch. Pretty impressive statistic. You can see the Deer Park cheerleaders very excited and enthused about it. A big play. So far the game has been made up of big plays, hasn't it?
That was a well-run pass route by Keith Steely as he makes his 16th catch of the year. And that was the 10th touchdown pass thrown by Mark Harris this year.
Harris did a nice job in laying the ball out there. Steely doing a nice job in getting it. Again, it's execution. This is something that the quarterbacks and the receivers work on, and they work on after practice. And we see Steely with, Harris, I should say, with a pad or something on his back.
Now Deer Park will decide whether to go for the 1-point or the 2-point conversion. At the moment, they've taken a 14-9 lead on that touchdown pass of 15 yards from Mark Harris to Keith Steely. And it looks like they're going to go for 2 here.
Well, let's see if he rolls out and looks for Steely once again. He's a big tight end, 6'2", 210 pounds, a nice target, catches the ball.
That is 10 touchdown passes on the year for Mark Harris. They go from the I formation, optioning down the line. Harris pitches to number 23, and he is knocked down short of the end zone. That's Paul Abney, the junior, and the option didn't work there.
Excellent defense by Madeira that time. preventing the 2 points. Here we see the score, Deer Park 14, Madeira 9 in the second quarter. Once again, an interesting ball game, a ball game that has been made of big plays so far, both teams having their share of them. Deer Park getting ready to kick off to Madeira. Some of the excited fans here, Andy, wanting to get on TV.
They always turn on for the television cameras. There's a Deer Park cheerleader who looks like she's enjoying the evening so far. Deer Park looking for their 9th consecutive win, one of 4 unbeaten teams in the Cincinnati area, and Madeira trying to pull an upset this evening, and they need a win next week also against Wyoming, and Madeira might well be in the state playoffs if they can win their final 2.
Griswold with the ball laying on its side, using the kicking tee, going to kick a squib one, make it hard to handle.
Deer Park has taken their second lead of the ball game, up 14-9. Griswold approaches the football and he punches it. It'll be picked up by John Dunn at about the 20-yard line. Dunn can't get very much running room, and they give him 5 yards on the return.
Well, it shows the respect that Deer Park has for Dunn in trying to kick the ball on the ground, but let it bobble around, let his coverage team get down and not give Dunn any running room whatsoever. He's got that good speed, that good quickness, elusiveness, and they want to contain him as much as they can, and they don't want to give him any running room, and that's the reasoning behind it.
So Madeira gets the ball at their own 20-yard line as Banks drops right back. He looks down the field. It is incomplete and almost picked off by number 33. That's linebacker Mark Heaton, and a very deep drop by the linebacker there.
Mike Heaton did a nice job in getting back here. The ball was intended for number 35, Matt Jansen. Jansen going down about 12, 15 yards, trying to find an open area. But as you said, the linebacker was in nice coverage. Heaton dropping back, getting plenty of depth.
Deer Park has taken a 14-9 lead. We have just over 2 minutes to play in the first half, and so obviously Madeira has to come out and throw the football. A couple of play action fakes as Banks rolls right. He goes deep, and it is caught. Good reception there by Tommy O'Donnell.
What a catch by Tommy O'Donnell. I'll tell you what, excellent catch. Dave Banks did a nice job in getting that ball out there, and O'Donnell making a great reception.
But we have a flag on the play up the field, and I imagine it's pass interference of some variety here. And they're bringing it back.
Looked like they signaled pass interference against Deer Park. They're still talking to the captains.
They brought the ball back to the spot of the foul, but that would seem to be a rather unfair rule. They should go with the continuation of the play, I would think, and give Madeira the benefit of a good pass completion, instead of penalizing them and bringing the ball back to the spot of the foul.
Well, I think Jim Prather is saying the same thing, Andy. He's over there with the official, and also Howard Jacobs, number 76 for Madeira, getting an explanation. You can see Prather certainly is not very happy with the decision that was reached.
Well, the bump must have occurred before the ball was caught. I would think that would be the ruling and the only reason for bringing the play back to the spot of the foul.
Shot of the official talking to Bob Holofield, explaining to him what had happened.
Should be no argument from Bob Holofield on this one.
Well, Bob said, okay, fine.
There's the Deer Park scoring drive, and a well-executed one. The touchdown, a 13-yard pass from Mark Harris to Keith Steele. So it's a first down at the 45. Banks dropping back. He gets the ball out and complete to John Dunn. And that's another first down for Madeira.
What a throw by Banks. Waited in there, stood in there. He had people hanging over around his ankles. He stood in there like a soldier and just fired it out there, and Dunn made a nice reception, a big play. But they're opening up now, throwing the football. They're going to test that defensive secondary of Deer Park.
That's a gain of 12 yards down to the 43. And Madeira has it in Deer Park territory. Banks again down the sidelines. John Dunn could not get it. The ball falls incomplete.
That time Deer Park was in his zone coverage. Number 12, Mark Harris, was playing deep for Deer Park, not letting anybody, especially number 21, Dunn, get behind him.
So that'll make it a 2nd and 10 from the 44-yard line. Madeira has used the clock well here. They still have 1 minute 32 seconds until halftime. Now Banks will drop back again. He gets protection. He flips it out on the left sideline. Incomplete. Number 35, Matt Jansen, the intended receiver there.
Once again, Deer Park dropping into deep coverage, their zone defense. Matt Jansen reading it, trying to find the open area, the void in the zone defense. Found an open area, tried to sit down, and the ball was just slightly overthrown by Banks. They're going to have to throw underneath the deep coverage. When they go into that deep zone, you've got to find that open area. You've got to throw underneath it.
It is a 3rd and 10 after 2 incomplete passes. They throw it to Jansen, and Jansen makes the catch inside the 25.
And that's exactly what we were talking about, Andy. The defensive backs are deep. Jansen pulling up in the open area, the hook area as we call it. Dave Banks throwing a nice sharp pass in between the zone coverage.
So that's another first down for Madeira. 1 minute 13 remaining in the first half. And Deer Park leads it 14-9. Banks back to throw again. He throws it over to the left this time. It is in and out of the hands of number 12, Mark Harris. And Harris almost had the interception.
He sure did. The ball was just slightly overthrown, intended for Dunn. Harris, I think, was kind of surprised that the ball came and hit him right in the hands.
So a 2nd and 10 from, well, we'll guess the 29-yard line. It's awfully difficult to tell where the ball is positioned. They go with a double wide receiver to the right. Banks rolling out. Now he flips it to the running back. It's John Dunn down the sidelines inside the 10.
Nice play that time by Dave Banks. A little misdirection. He's rolling out to his left. Fakes to Dunn. He faked the ball to Dunn. Dunn faked into the line, then continued out into the flat area. Dave Banks did a nice job in laying it out, giving him opportunity to catch the ball and run with it.
That's a gain of 16 yards on that pass to the running back, Dunn. And Madeira gets it 1st and 10 at about the 10-yard line. Banks rolling out. He breaks the tackle. He looks into the end zone. Now he throws. It is caught in the end zone.
What a catch. Tommy O'Donnell.
Tommy O'Donnell.
Super catch by O'Donnell. I'll tell you what, he made a diving catch, and you've got to give Dave Banks an awful lot of credit. Under pressure, going down through the ball out there, O'Donnell making a great reception. 6'2", Tom O'Donnell extended that frame up to about a 6'5", I'll tell you. Excellent reception.
Well, we said at the top of the game, this should be our top game of the year on Cube Sports, and this game has done nothing to belie that. It's been a tremendous football game in the first half.
Andy, that it has. Well, let's see, they're going for 2. Dave Banks coming over the center.
And so Madeira's gone back on top by 1. They pitch it to John Dunn, and Dunn is close to the goal line. Let's see if he made it in or not.
He did not make it.
Did not make it in for the 2-point conversion. So Madeira goes on top 15-14 on that long drive. The touchdown, about a 9-yard pass from Dave Banks to Tommy O'Donnell.
Tell you what, Dave Banks showed an awful lot of poise in that last drive. Stood in there, a lot of pressure, waited for his receivers in a couple situations there against the zone defense, threaded the ball in there. Got away from some traffic, some oncoming linemen. That last pass play did a nice job in getting rid of the ball at the last moment. And Tommy O'Donnell making a great, great catch.
And Banks did a good job of using the clock also.
He sure did. It was just a fine bit of poise shown by Dave Banks.
So Madeira takes a 1-point lead at 15-14. There have been a total of 5 lead changes in this game. Lee Wilkinson ready to kick off to Ed Woolline. Woolline, number 24, the single deep man for Deer Park.
Wilkinson has the ball also on its flat part. You got to try and just squib it down here.
Does not want a long run back with only 45 seconds before halftime. We'll try to get good coverage here on a short kick and make Deer Park earn any points they get here in the final seconds. Picked up by the short man, and he gets it up to about the 35-yard line. That's number 23, Paul Abney, on a short return. And Deer Park will get the football at their own 36 with about 40 seconds remaining. Excellent scoring drive, John.
10 plays, 80 yards, using that clock very, very effectively. Drive taken 2 minutes and 6 seconds on a 10-yard pass. Let's see what Mark Harris and the Deer Parkers have in line.
Harris gives it to the tailback in the formation. That's number 24, Ed Woolline,
yep.
And Woolline gains a couple. So it looks like, on the surface at least, Bob Hollifield and Deer Park are going to be conservative here. But this has been a very unpredictable ball game. They're going to let the clock run out here. And that is the end of the first half of play from Deer Park Stadium. And it's a bit of a surprise. The Madeira Mustangs lead the Deer Park Wildcats 15-14.
In A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens wrote, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, an age of discovery and an age of despair. In short, a time so like our own." Well, I paraphrase Dickens a bit, but I think you'll find that his observations are equally true today as we bring you the final installment of A Touch of Two Cities. I'm Robin Stevens, producer of the Cube special, which took your thoughts about Cincinnati, the nation, and the world to our sister city of Milwaukee, to compare the opinions of the two towns on our todays and our tomorrows. I think you'll agree we came up with some interesting results. Please join us at Cube Cable next Monday night at 6 p.m. for a special Touch of Two Cities on Cube Interact Channel 30.
Just a great first half of football. Madeira leading Deer Park 15-14. Let's go down to the field and the Deer Park marching band.
Cooley, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hugh Cooley. Ron Galley, escorted by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Galley. Wendy Goldfinger, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Gerald Goldfinger. Cheryl Goodall, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Don Goodall. Doug Holt, escorted by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. John Holt. Roberta Jackson, escorted by her mother, Mrs. George L. Jackson, Jr. Marcia Mills, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Ralph Mills. John Nicely, escorted by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Earl Nicely. Janice Redmond, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Frank Redmond. Tim Siddell, escorted by his parents, Reverend and Mrs. George T. Siddell, Jr. Connie Smith, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Jerry Smith. Robin Tessler, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Irv Tessler. Donna Vanover, escorted by her mother, Mrs. Patricia Vanover. Linda Welch, escorted by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Jerry Welsh. I'll get it right this time, John. John Callahan and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Donald Callahan. 1981-82 marching band.
Those were the senior members of the Deer Park Band being introduced with their parents here at Deer Park Stadium. Let's go back to the band's performance on the field. A well choreographed and well executed performance by the Deer Park Marching Band, and John Stofa doesn't believe the adjectives I just laid on you folks, but they did a good job. Let's summarize it briefly that way.
I thought they were excellent, sure. I didn't think you gave them enough praise, Andy.
Deer Park did well on the field, and certainly the band did exceedingly well during the halftime. But Madeira did a little bit better on the field in that first half. The Madeira Mustangs lead the Deer Park Wildcats 15-14 after 24 minutes of football. We'll be back with the second half.
I'm Miskit Airth. I'd like to invite you to be part of an exciting new series on Warner Amex Cube, Studio 30. Each week we'll bring you a different, original show created and produced by our creative folk for your entertainment and for your opinions. One week it may be a game show, the next a sports preview, the third a comedy routine. The only thing the same from week to week is the brand newness. After you've watched the show, you'll have a chance to tell the producers what you really think. And those shows and program ideas you like will form the basis of new programs you had a hand in choosing. We're very excited about Studio 30, and we know you will be too. So join us every Monday night at 8 p.m. right here on Cube Interact Channel 30. See you Monday.
Be sure and be with us Monday night, November 2nd, for the premiere of River City Touch.
Just about everybody's ready for the second half, with the exception of the Deer Park Wildcats. They are late in returning to the field.
I'm sure that Coach Hollifield probably has some words of wisdom and giving them a little bit extra. Madeira has been out here for about 5-8 minutes now, Andy, and as you said, we're still waiting for Deer Park. Their fans, as you can see, are lined up also waiting for them.
And so is that gentleman. I'm sure I should know who he is. And that's the mayor of the city of Deer Park, Mr. Frank Healy.
You're right, Andy.
Frank Healy, the mayor of Deer Park. I voted for the man. Why didn't I know him?
I'd know Frank anywhere. I was trying to help you, but I thought maybe...
There is the Madeira sideline, and here come the Deer Park Wildcats. As we are about ready for the second half of football, with Madeira leading the football game 15-14.
In a very exciting first half. Again, we talked about both teams, the potential of both teams coming into the game. Certainly Madeira 6-2 on the season, Deer Park 8-0, but in a game like this, you throw away the one-loss records.
Both teams need this game badly if they are to make postseason play in the state of Ohio. You would think that Deer Park would have a better chance. They are 8-0 and ranked third in their region and their division. But Madeira, with a victory tonight and a win against unbeaten Wyoming next week, could very well make it in their division, in their region. And surprising statistics, John Stofa. Deer Park got their yards, but Madeira certainly did well offensively also. And it's a very rare occurrence when an opponent has the ball more than Deer Park, and that was the case in the first half.
I think that the turning point, again, we look at the bottom line, the turnovers. Deer Park, 2 big turnovers. Certainly they outgained, as we can see, Madeira rushing and passing, but look at the ball control by Madeira. 38 offensive plays to 24 for Deer Park, 10 first downs. Time of possession, 13:01 for Madeira, 10:59. No punts for Deer Park, 3 for Madeira, 36-yard average. Penalties, both teams 3, Madeira 35 yards, and Deer Park 25. But the no punts for Deer Park and the closeness of the ball game is certainly a misleading statistic.
As we said at the top of the broadcast, Deer Park is an excellently conditioned team, probably one of the best in the area, and they usually own the second half. And we'll find out if Madeira can hold on to win this ball game. Deer Park, as hardly given up any points at all in the second half this season. And Deer Park will get the ball to start the second half. Ed Woolwine is the deep man, number 24. And Lee Wilkinson, number 34, will kick off for Madeira.
I'm sure that Coach Jim Prather of Madeira has also made his team, aware of the fact that, hey, this is a well-conditioned ball club. They're going to come after us. They're going to start out the second half with the football. Let's go out there defense. Let's hold them. Let's get the ball back, and then let's control it once again. Let's take it to them.
Madeira has already scored more points than any team in the 8 previous games against Deer Park. 15 points is the most points given up by Deer Park this year. As Lee Wilkinson prepares to kick off for the Madeira Mustangs to get the second half underway. And the kick comes down to Woolwine. He fumbles the ball, and it's loose and recovered by Deer Park. Number 23, Paul Abney, fell on top of it.
Well, this is certainly not the way that Deer Park intends to start off, with a fumbled kickoff. The last thing they want to do is keep that Madeira team sky high.
Mark Harris will go at quarterback. He scored a touchdown and threw for a touchdown in the first half. And the man who caught the touchdown pass was Keith Steele. As you see the rest of the Deer Park offense, they give it to the deep man in the formation. That's Paul Abney. And Abney gains about 4 out to the 29-yard line.
Well, the thing that Deer Park wants to do now is control the football, march it down the field, get 6 points on the scoreboard as fast as they can, and then put the pressure back on Madeira.
And the pressure is squarely on the Madeira defense. Their linebackers are excellent, and their deep backs have experience. They're going to have to come up and force the run. They managed to force a couple of turnovers in the first half, a couple of Deer Park fumbles. They pitch it to Abney running left, and Abney is stacked up after a gain of 3 or 4 yards out across the 30-yard line.
Madeira starting off the second half defensively in their 50 defense. That time it was a straight 50 with the nose man right over the center. But the key, as you said, Andy, the linebackers. They've got a good linebacking core. They're keying the football. They're pursuing. They're going after this game very, very aggressively.
You know, Deer Park has not run very well between the tackles, and one of the reasons is that their 1,000-yard rusher, Jerry James, is not in the ball game. He's out with that broken wrist. Now they give it to Abney again, trying for the first down, and he only had about a yard to go, and let's see where they mark it. It's going to be extremely close. Well, the Madeira defense is signaling that Abney did not make it, and it will be a 4th down situation. 4th and maybe a foot.
Well, once again, I think that we'll see him go for it here, Andy, even though it's deep in their own territory, but I think that it's going to show the confidence that they have in that offensive unit.
You know, Deer Park has punted only 9 times the entire season. That is only about once a ball game, so they don't like to punt the ball away. They go for it on 4th down, and they give it to the fullback, Mark Heaton, and Mark Heaton gets the first down yardage.
Nice drive, nice offensive drive by the offensive line. They just blew off the ball that time and just blew the Madeira defensive line back. Right now, at the start of the second half, the Madeira Mustangs are trying to hold Deer Park. Deer Park coming out once again very, very aggressively, going after controlling the line of scrimmage.
Deer Park with a first down at their own 37. Harris gives it on the crossbuck, and number 24, Woolwine, the ball carrier. We have a flag dropped in the secondary, and Bob Hollifield is a bit upset on the Deer Park sideline, their coach, and the penalty will go against Deer Park, I believe.
See Ed Woolwine, number 24, coming out of the ballpark for Deer Park. Number 28, Mark Feldhaus, going in for him.
They used Woolwine that time on a slant coming from the wingback position, a little misdirection to try to upset the Madeira defense. A holding penalty against Deer Park.
And Bob Holliday is awfully upset. Hollifield, I'm sorry, Bob. See, Holliday is something that I just got off of. Hollifield is the coach.
Yeah, John Stofa just back from a cruise in the Caribbean. Went in fine style. Here's Harris back to throw. He flips it out in the flat. It is caught by number 80, That is Jim Burke, and Burke with a good gain out to about the 45-yard line.
A screen pass to number 80, Burke. It was a well-executed play. Harris dropping back, looking off to his right, giving the defense, let him key his eyes, think he's looking to the right. At the last minute, threw it over to the left to number 80, Jim Burke, and a nice run. He had some pretty good blocking in front of him also.
That's a gain of about 20 yards on that quick screen to the left, and that makes it a 2nd and 4. Make that a 2nd and 5. So that eats up a lot of yardage. They give it to Abney, the tailback, and Abney gets it up near the first down stakes, a gain of 3 or 4 yards on the play for junior Paul Abney, number 23.
Deer Park using a number of different sets. They're using the wing. That last time they ran from an I formation. They'll show you different sets, and they'll run with the pretty quick backs that they have. Many different variations of the quick trap. They'll go off tackle. They'll go around the end. They use a little reverse. They'll use a counter. They have a multiple offense, that's for sure.
I formation for Deer Park, 3rd and 1. They give it to the second back through. That is Woline, and he is thrown back. He had forward progress up around the first down, but he was thrown back after the whistle, and looks like they're going to measure here for the first down.
That was Matt Jensen, number 35, making an excellent tackle, really unloading on him.
Matt Jansen, the rover back for Madeira, and they use him all along the defensive line. They move him around, and he's the guy who is called upon. They want him to turn in the big plays.
It is a first down for Deer Park. Jansen is also a big play man on offense for Madeira, so he's one of their two-way performers that they count very heavily on.
Well, that Madeira offense showed us a lot in the final 2 minutes of that second quarter, John, with their 80-yard drive for a touchdown to take the lead. It is 15-14, Madeira on top, but Deer Park has had the ball for over 4 minutes here. They give it to Mark Heaton, the fullback, and he is up over midfield for a gain of about 6 yards on a first down carry.
That time, number 73, Barry Pettyjohn, opening a nice hole. 6'6", 245 pounds, Andy. He's a big man.
Good size along the offensive line for Deer Park. They have 3 of their frontline players over 200 pounds. Here's Harris rolling right. He shoots it long. It is knocked down. That was intended for Keith Steele, number 81.
That was Chip Gardner, number 33 for Madeira, making a super play. Went up into the air and knocked that ball away. Had Harris laid it out just a little bit more, I think it had 6, but it was still a super defensive play by Gardner.
Number 81, Steele, had 5 inches on Gardner there. Steele is 6'3", and Gardner only 5'10". And Gardner made an extra effort to knock that ball away.
He sure did. And Steele, as we said, coming into this game, averaged 23 yards per catch.
It is a 3rd and 5. Harris back to throw. He gets it over the middle, incomplete to Woline.
Matt Jansen, number 35, and Craig Mars, number 51, putting an awful lot of pressure on Harris that time, coming in and forcing him to throw the ball off balance. Good defense by Madeira. Excellent defense.
And it's a 4th and 5 just inside Madeira territory at about the 47. And they brought the quarterback Mark Harris out of the ball game. And for the first time this evening, we see the Deer Park punter. That is Scott Constable. This is only his 10th punt of the year. Constable gets the ball away. He kicked it well. The ball bounces inside the 20. And it goes out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. So for a guy who doesn't punt the ball very much, Constable did a good job.
Got a nice line drive kick. He had a Madeira or a Deer Park roll going for him. Ball hitting and bouncing toward the goal line.
That is a 40-yard punt, and it's down to around the 7-yard line, and so Madeira will start their offense in a very difficult position. They have not turned the ball over yet, and now would not be the time to start. So Madeira with the ball at the 7 or 8 yard line, deep in their own territory. their first possession of the second half, and Dunn gives it to Tommy Craver. And Craver, make that Wilkinson, the fullback, gets a little breathing room, a gain of about 4 yards out to the 11. There's the Madeira offense. Dave Banks, an excellent passer. John Dunn, their top running back. And the rest of the offense, Matt Jansen, their top receiver. Gain of about 4. They give it to Wilkinson again, and the big fullback rumbles out near the 20-yard line, and he has first down yardage.
Great effort by Wilkinson that time. Tremendous second effort was what got the additional yardage here. He hit the hole, dragged 2-3 men, additional yardage, getting the first down. There we have a good shot, or we see the Deer Park defense. Linebacker core, Heaton, Cox, Woolline.
It's a first down. They give it to Wilkinson again. He's out over the 20, a gain of about 2 on the play, as Barry Pettyjohn, number 73, made the stop there. And he's the big guy we've been talking about all evening.
He sure is. So far, Madeira is staying right neck and neck with Deer Park. No indication of conditioning affecting one team or the other either way at this point.
Gain of 2 by Wilkinson, the fullback. I formation. Dunn, the deep back, takes the pitch. He runs right, and John Dunn gets about 4 yards out to the 25.
John Dunn almost breaking that. I think it was number 66, Joe Englert, that had him by the ankles and prevented him from making a big run out of it. This Dunn, he's quite an athlete. I'll tell you, you give him a little room, and he's going to break one on you. He's got good quickness, good explosiveness. Really hits that hole and hits it hard.
John Dunn with 48 yards on 8 carries so far this evening. That's a 6-yard average. And he had that one big run in the Deer Park scoring drive early in the second quarter. They pitch it to Craver. He tries the right side on a third down play, and the Deer Park defense comes up with a big performance.
Once again, they're in that wide or split 6 alignment. The defensive ends, who play like linebackers, come up the field. And on a quick pitch like that, it's tough to get outside of them. And they're instructed and they're drilled to come upfield and turn that ball inside. Do not let anything get outside around you. Is that one of their players?
I don't know what that creature was, but he's a night early. Halloween is tomorrow.
I thought he came in with you, Andy.
He might have. Chip Smith, the punter, and Ed Woolline is deep. Smith gets the kick away. It's a good one. It's taken by Woolline. Woolline gets outside to the right. Woolline across the 50, knocked out of bounds.
85, Charlie Childress making a touchdown-saving tackle. Really unloaded on him. Nice tackle by Childress. Well, Deer Park, pretty good field position. Mark Harris getting the play from Coach Hollifield on the sideline. Let's see if they come out throwing or stay with their ground control.
Madeira leading the football game 15-14. We've had no scoring here in the second half so far. That was a 36-yard punt by Chip Smith and about a 20-yard return.
Timeout was called for number 60, George Brenner, going over to the sideline. Little equipment repair. There we see the score. Deer Park 14, Madeira 15 in the third quarter. Quite an exciting ball game. A well-played ball game.
We have about 3 minutes, 26 seconds left in quarter number 3 from Deer Park Stadium. As the Wildcats of Deer Park in the red uniforms come out in a split backfield. A wing left. Harris with a play action fake. He rolls out to the right. And Harris just steps out of bounds after gaining a couple yards. That's the play that went for a touchdown back in the first quarter.
That's the exact same play to the opposite side that they did on the opening play, making a big gainer for 6 points. As we said, Harris is quite an athlete. He runs this Deer Park offensively very effectively. He's a good passer. He's a good runner. He mixes it up, and he's got some pretty good people in the backfield with him.
It is a 2nd and 9 as Harris drops back to throw. He gets the ball away on the run. It is complete. Number 81, Keith Steely with the catch over the middle.
Big catch by Keith Steely. But I'll tell you what, Mark Harris did a great job in getting that football off. Scrambling, throwing the ball off balance, throwing it upfield. The thing that Steely did that really made it a big play was he came back to the football. He saw that his quarterback was in trouble, and your receivers, your good receivers, will come back. They'll find an open area, and they'll come back to get the football. Very nice play.
Here's another crucial third down situation. 3rd and about 2 for Deer Park. Harris on the rollout. He is stacked up short. He might have lost a yard on the play.
Dave Schwepp, number 22, coming up from his defensive back position, making a big, big tackle. Madeira fired up. Defensively, they're doing a job. They're not giving Deer Park anything. They're staying right with them.
Madeira has not, I should say, Deer Park has not fared that well on 3rd down tonight.
No, they haven't. We've got to give credit to the defense. You've got to give that defensive Madeira team an awful lot of credit. Here we see Bob Hollifield talking to his quarterback. A little Gatorade and water out there. Well, I know they're not talking about the dance tonight after the game.
That was a loss of about a yard on the play. It'll be a 4th and 3 for Deer Park at the Madeira 37-yard line.
You know, I'm going to keep my eye on number 81, Keith Steely. I think if they're going to throw it to anybody, he's the ideal guy. He's made some big catches. He's had a 23-yard per catch average coming into this ball game. Finds an opening, knows how to get open, and he's got pretty good hands.
How about Mark Harris on a roll left to the wide side of the field, looking for Steely coming back over the middle. Well, straight drop back. He flips it. It's incomplete. And there's our man, Keith Steely, number 81.
Just a little overthrown, just on his fingertips. That's too bad. It was a nice play. He was wide open. Nice play action fake by Harris. But unfortunately, the ball was just slightly overthrown.
So the ball goes over on downs to Madeira. And so far, our theory about Deer Park taking over the second half has certainly not materialized. Madeira has played an excellent third quarter to this juncture. They pitch it to John Dunn. Dunn getting a good lead block from Wilkinson, and he gets just about a yard on the play, but that fullback Wilkinson did a good job of leading.
He sure did. In a close game like this, and especially an inspired game, you know, that adrenaline gets flowing, and it's amazing what your body could do sometimes, and especially when they're well conditioned as these two teams are. They've been going 110% from the opening kickoff, and it hasn't let up one iota.
That's a gain of 2 yards on that first down play. Make it 2nd and 8 from the 39-yard line as Banks drops back. Banks going long. He has John Dunn out there, just overthrown.
John Dunn finding an opening down the sideline, and ball just overthrown. It was a good throw by Dave Banks, but just a little bit overthrown. What you have to do on a long pass like that, you've got to lay it up just a little bit more. You've got to put a little height on the ball and let your receiver run in under the ball rather than trying to hit him on a line. It's tough. It's tough to hit a guy, you know, throw a rope as we would call. You got to lay it out there and let him run under it.
It's a 3rd and 8 for Madeira. Here's Banks dropping back. He flips it out to the right. It is incomplete, intended for John Dunn again. But the receiver was held up, and really nobody in the vicinity except for red jerseys.
John Dunn was trying to get out of the backfield, going to his right. That time Banks rolled to his left, tried to throw the ball back across the field, but Dunn never got through past the line of scrimmage.
So Chip Smith is into the ball game to do the punting for Madeira.
And Woolline, number 24, going deep for Deer Park.
And a high punt by Chip Smith. And they'll let the ball bounce at about the 35. And it takes a Madeira roll down to the 31-yard line.
Good coverage, as you can see. A lot of white Madeira jerseys around the football.
We're down to the final minute of quarter number 3 with Madeira holding on to a 15-14 lead. This is quite a come down for the Deer Park offense. They had scored 94 points in their last 2 games. They beat Indian Hill 54-12, and last week they knocked off Loveland 40-0.
And Madeira going into this game, Andy, had scored 182 points and allowed their opposition 127.
They pitch it to Paul Abney on the first play of the series, and Abney is knocked out of bounds after a gain of 3 or 4 yards. Deer Park putting the ball in play at their own 31, and Abney with a pickup of about, make it 4, out to the 35. So it's a 2nd and 6 as Deer Park gets their 3rd possession of the 3rd quarter, and they've not been able to do much offensively. Now they pitch it to Abney again, and he gets a couple of yards.
Abney doing a good job running with the ball, but I think that it's kind of evident they really do miss their good back, Jerry James. And averaging 6 yards a carry coming into this football game, over 1,000 yards for the year, second leading rusher in the greater Cincinnati area. He's got to be sorely missed.
So it's another 3rd down situation for Deer Park. It's about a 3rd and 3, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter of play from Deer Park Stadium. Our score remains Madeira 15 and Deer Park 14.
That boss of mine put me on a day shift, and now I don't get home till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That means I miss all my soap operas. Well, the little lady tells me about this show that's on every afternoon at 4. It's called The Soap Scoop. So I try it, and you know what? She's right. I can still keep up with Eric and Bobby and Leslie every day by watching Soap Scoop. I'd like to strangle that boss of mine, but at least I don't miss my soaps.
Ready to go in the 4th quarter with Madeira leading Deer Park 15-14. No scoring in that 3rd quarter of play. The Madeira defense really dominated.
Coming into the game, Deer Park, one of the 4 teams in the greater Cincinnati, undefeated. Moeller is 8-0, Coleraine 8-0, and Wyoming was also 8-0.
And Deer Park in line for a playoff spot if they can win tonight and next week against Amelia. They'd go 10-0. They give it to Woolline. Woolline running left. Good yardage over the 50 down to about the 42-yard line.
Nice run by Ed Woolline. Ed moving out to his left. Moving upfield, breaking out to his left and turning it up and doing a nice job. 5'11", 167 pounds. Showed some pretty good speed that time, Andy.
That was an 18-yard gain by Woolline on that 3rd down situation. And now Deer Park moves into Madeira territory at the 43. They give it to Abney, and Abney picks up 3 or 4 yards down to the 39-yard line.
Defense for Madeira has really played a good game this 2nd half. They've been tough. They've been staying after it. They've been aggressive. Doing a nice job. You know,
well, we've been asked to pick our MVPs, John, and I don't think, at least in my opinion, we can go wrong with picking the 2 quarterbacks.
Well, certainly they have done an outstanding job, but just, you know, looking in these defensive lines, it's tough to pick out one individual. They've all been playing so well.
Now they give it to Woolline, and Woolline powers his way down to the 35, and he'll be short of the 1st down. That'll bring up another 3rd down as Ed Woolline walks off the field. Well, we're being pressured into making our MVP decisions. I'm going to go with Dave Banks, the quarterback from Madeira, and Mark Harris, the quarterback for Deer Park.
Certainly they've both had fine ball games. They've controlled their offenses and done a nice job. I'm inclined to agree with you.
3rd down play, and Deer Park gets the 1st down on a call. They give the ball to the fullback, Mark Heaton, and Heaton is inside the 30 for the 1st down. So Deer Park moving the football well on this drive, sticking exclusively to the ground game, eating up the clock. We have about 10 minutes and 30 seconds to play. They give it on the belly series to Mark Heaton, the fullback, and he gains 2 or 3 yards down to the 25. As Deer Park moves the ball effectively on the ground here.
You know, once again, the two coaches, teammates at Xavier University here in Cincinnati, both played under Eddie Biles, and long time friends.
A 2nd and 3. They give the ball to Mark Heaton, the fullback again, and he is down inside the 20-yard line. And
Right.
that's another Deer Park first down.
It sure is. Right now, the offensive line of Deer Park has taken control of that line of scrimmage. Barry Pettijohn, Chris Sayer, Carl Cox, Tom Glenn, and Joe Belinke in that center doing a nice job.
It is a first down at about the 19-yard line, and this time they give the ball to Abney. And Abney, the young tailback, gets it into the 15-yard line. Make that Woolwine the ball carrier, number 24.
Deer Park staying with their ground control, offensive football, grinding it out, going after them, making them stop it.
It is a 2nd and 7 at about the 15. Mark Harris, the quarterback. He rolls right. He's got good blocking ahead of him. Harris still on his feet down to the 5 and out of bounds.
Nice run by Harris. I'll tell you, he showed some pretty good balance on the outside. He was tripped up, maintained his balance, picked up an additional 5-6 yards.
Well, we saw what Mark Harris could do on the first offensive play for Deer Park in the ball game. He went 89 yards on a rollout.
That time Deer Park running out of the full back house, full backfield is what I meant to say. Or full house backfield. Is that outside? I knew it would come, man. They're in it again, whatever it is.
It is a 3rd down play. They give it to Abney running right. He's got the first down near the goal line.
It is a first down. Tom O'Donnell, number 87, making a nice tackle, but not until after he had picked up the first down. First down inside the 10. Looks like, what, Andy, about the 7-8 yard line?
They are down in there fairly close. It's a little difficult to tell from here, but I'd say it's around the 4 or 5. And it looks like Deer Park has called a timeout here.
Well, I'm sure they want to make sure that they get their team together, they regroup, that they do not make any mistakes. They've got the ball this close, and they want to score. They want to make sure they have everybody in position, the right people in there, the key people. You see Bob Hollifield talking to his quarterback, Mark Harris. Make sure you get that football. Don't fumble. Don't leave too soon. Remind the team out there, hey, let's remember the count. Let's not have any mental mistakes down here.
Deer Park has it 1st and goal at the 6-yard line. And our MVP is Dave Banks, the excellent junior quarterback for Madeira, who has scored a touchdown running and thrown for a touchdown. And Mark Harris, the excellent junior quarterback for Deer Park. Harris has run for a touchdown and thrown for a touchdown.
I'll tell you what, there have been an awful lot of other players out there on both teams that have played an outstanding football game tonight. They've been very aggressive. They've been staying after it. They've really been hitting and knocking each other around out there. It's just an old-fashioned knockdown, drag-out affair.
We've had 4 lead changes in this game. At the moment, Madeira on top 15-14. We've had no scoring here in the second half as the Madeira defense digs in. It is a 1st and goal from the 6. Mark Harris over the football. He rolls left. He is met at the line of scrimmage. Breaks the tackle. He is into the end zone. Mark Harris scoring his 2nd touchdown.
What a run by Mark Harris. Excellent run. Nice fake. Sidestep 2 would-be tacklers. Turned on his speed. Turned on the afterburners. Got into the end zone. Excellent run. Nice play, nice call. Certainly ignited the fans and the team on the sideline. Number 24, Ed Woolline coming into the ball game with a play. Let's see what they do here. Let's see if they look for number 81, Keith Stearley, big tight end.
So Deer Park is going for 2 points. Harris dropping back, looking into the end zone. He flips it out of bounds and incomplete. And that is certainly a big turn of events because that'll make the score Deer Park 20 and Madeira 15.
And plenty of time left in this ball game, 8 minutes and 36 seconds, Andy, and both teams capable of scoring at will, and they've shown that. They've both been able to control and move the football. And 5-point spread at this point, I don't think is a very safe lead. Do you?
No, not at all. And a 5-point spread means that Madeira can score a touchdown and take the lead. So that missed 2-point conversion is a big turn of events as far as this game is concerned. So Deer Park is taking the lead 20-15 with 8 minutes and 36 seconds left in the ball game. And now Deer Park will kick off.
Well, you said at the top of the telecast that this has the potential of being one of the best games that we've had here on Cube this year, and I think that this is living up to your expectations and mine.
Well, now we've had 5 lead changes in the ball game, and it certainly lives up to the old cliche. It's been a seesaw affair. It's been back and forth.
You see Scott Griswold laying the ball on its side up there, marking off proper distance.
Number 21, Jim Dunn, and number 20, Tommy Craver, are the deep men for Madeira. Griswold on the kickoff. And he punches it short. It's picked up by Wilkinson. Wilkinson breaking tackles out across the 40 to the 45.
And once again, the kicking of Griswold having a good effect for them. It's a tough ball to handle. It gives your people a chance to get downfield, get around the football, preventing any big run back. They're trying to keep that ball away from Craver and Dunn, and you can't blame them.
So Madeira puts the ball in play, 1st and 10 at their own 44-yard line. Dave Banks pitching to John Dunn. Dunn is backed up for a loss of 7 or 8 yards.
Number 71, Mark Englert, and also 73, Barry Pettijohn in on the tackle. Defense is fired up. They're really coming off the ball now. They got the points. They're going to hold it, so they say. They're challenging. You got to come and get us.
That's a loss of 7 yards. A 2nd and 17 back at the 38-yard line. Banks dropping back. He flips it out too high.
Intended for number 35, Matt Jensen, his favorite receiver. Jensen running down into the 12, 14-yard flat area.
There's the Deer Park scoring drive. And they held the ball for almost 5 minutes, John, and that's characteristic of their style of play.
It sure is, and that's one thing that they wanted to do. Now they wanted their defense to get out there and hold this Madeira Mustang bunch.
It is a 3rd and 17. Banks is sacked. He drops the football. It's loose. And I believe Madeira got on top of it.
Ed Woolline coming in from linebacker position, blitzing on that play, getting through, making a nice tackle.
And John Dunn, the tailback, fell on top of that fumble by the quarterback, Dave Banks.
Dave Banks going out of the game. Looks like he may have been shaken up on that particular play. Never saw Woolline coming in. Woolline blitzing in and really unloading on him. 4th down, Madeira in a punting situation.
Chip Smith, number 12, into the game to do the kicking, as Madeira has been stifled on this offensive possession. And Smith just got the kick away. It bounces around the 35, and it will be downed at the 34-yard line. That was a 33-yard punt by Chip Smith.
Deer Park going out onto the football field. There you see Bob Hollifield talking to his players. Firing them up. Okay, offense, let's control that football now. Let's move it down the field. On defense, Jim Prather telling his people, hey, let's go after him. You've got to hit him. You've got to stick him. Let's create a fumble.
They pitch it to Paul Abney, and Abney struggles for a gain of 6 yards out to the 40.
Some pretty good hitting going on out there, Andy. They're really going after it. Both teams wanting it very, very badly. Game is important to both teams.
Deer Park with the football and a 5-point lead. They're on top, 20-15. They have a 2nd and 4 at the 40-yard line.
Deer Park
and
in their full house backfield.
They give it to Mark Heaton, and no, that was Ed Woolline on the carry out to about the 45.
And he's played a pretty good ball game. I'll tell you, Woolline's been impressive also, offensively and defensively. He's done a nice job.
And that's a Deer Park first down at the 45.
Number 25, Randy Stanifer, going into the ball game for number 24, Woolline.
Under 6 minutes to play as Deer Park eats up the clock as they keep the ball on the ground. And it'll be a 1st and 10 from their own 45. The quarterback is Harris. He gives the ball to number 23. That is Paul Abney, and we have a flag thrown on the play.
Paul Jacobs, number 79 for Madeira, coming across the line, slowing up the ball carrier, doing a nice job. Well, let's see. Usually when that's flags thrown in the interior line, Andy, one thing, holding, and that's a big one against Deer Park, 15 yards.
Now we'll see if the Madeira defense can take advantage of this penalty and really pin back Deer Park and force a quick punt here and get the ball back in good field position for the Madeira offense to operate.
Of course, we've got 5 minutes and 27 seconds left in the ball game. Plenty of time for most anything to happen, and plenty of time certainly for Madeira to get the football back and go in and score.
Well, the last time that Deer Park was in this situation, a 1st and 25, they threw to a running back, and let's see what they do here. They try the same play, but it falls incomplete. Actually, they threw it to the tight end in the flat that time.
Little delay by the tight end, counts 1,001, 1,002, sneaks out into the flat area, hoping that the defensive backs get their normal drops, and he has a chance and an opportunity to pick up some pretty good yardage.
That makes it 2nd down and 25 now for Deer Park. And they really can't afford to gamble too much at this point, John. If they throw the ball down the field, they might get it picked off, and that would give Madeira an excellent chance to take the lead.
Well, if they do throw it, I think that they will throw it up deep, and a long pass, if it's intercepted, will be as good as a punt.
Here's Harris dropping back. He is going way down the field. It is incomplete. Intended for Ed Woolline.
Just out of the outstretched arms of Woolline, and again, that's exactly what they did. If they're going to throw it, let's throw it long, and if they intercept it, it's as good as a punt in this situation. But the thing that we don't want to do is throw it into the flat area or throw it over the middle where they would have an opportunity to pick it off and return it.
So you would expect them to throw long again on this play at 3rd and 25.
Well, either that or you might see a draw play and then just punt the ball on the next time and let's let our defense go in and hold it. Well, let's see how smart. We're sitting up here. It's easy for us, right?
Very easy. Harris on a draw play, and that goes nowhere.
I read the playbook. All right,
So
let's see what happens. So let's see if Madeira goes after the punt. Let's see if they try and get a block in here, or will they give John Dunn an opportunity to return it? What would you do? Go after it or put a picket fence up for Dunn?
I think I'd try to give Dunn a chance to return the football.
All right.
But it looks like they're going to rush the punter. Constable gets the ball off a low kick, and it bounces inside the 20-yard line. Make that inside the 30 down to about the 24.
Good low line drive kick. Plenty of roll. Here we see our 4th quarter score. Deer Park on top, 20-15. Madeira with the football. With 4 minutes and 12 seconds to go on a scoreboard, certainly enough time for a drive.
as Madeira starts it. 1st and 10 at their own 24. Dave Banks dropping back to throw. He flips it up the field. It is incomplete.
Dangerous pass by Banks that time. Tried to get it out there.
Number 62, Carl Cox, just got a hand on it on the Deer Park defense, and that was almost picked off.
Yeah, Banks hit just as he's throwing and getting rid of the football, and that's almost a big break for Deer Park. But the way Banks moved it down at the end of the first half, he showed an awful lot of poise, and they have a lot of confidence in his arm and ability to throw it.
It is a 2nd and 10. Banks rifles the ball over the middle, and it's picked off. The ball was deflected and picked off by Mark Harris. Harris, the quarterback, with the interception.
Big play, big catch by Mark Harris. We do have a penalty flag down on the field.
And it looks like it is against Deer Park.
Well, let's see if it was after the interception, Andy.
Well, that's the case. It's a holding penalty on the return after the interception, so Deer Park will get the football at about the Madeira 41-yard line, and so the interception will count as they give the ball into the line. That was a keeper by the quarterback, Mark Harris.
Mark Harris doing a nice job of faking that time, Andy. Faking to the first back through, tucking the ball into the stomach, and running off to the right side. Good little ball player. I'll tell you what, he's very, very impressive. Did a nice job on that interception. A deflected pass. Mark going high into the air, catching the ball and returning it for a nice field position for Deer Park.
Mark Harris, our MVP, he has run for 2 touchdowns, passed for 1, and has just come up with that key interception. 2nd and 5, they pitch it to the tailback, and he is smothered behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of about 5 yards as Abney, number 23, was the ball carrier.
And Matt Jansen, number 35 for Madeira, doing a nice job coming up, making the tackle. Once again, he's been all over the football field as well tonight.
About 2 minutes and 40 seconds to play, and Madeira has to make something happen defensively. They've got to force a turnover here.
Well, here we see Coach Hollifield talking to his quarterback. Across the way, we also see Jim Prather talking to his defensive captain, instructing them, let's go out, let's start tackling the football, let's try and force a fumble.
Deer Park has done a much better job of running the football here in the second half and holding on to it and keeping the ball away from the Madeira offense.
They sure have, and I think we have to give credit to their offensive line, doing a nice job of blocking, controlling that line of scrimmage, and both teams pretty even as far, if you look at their offensive backfield and defensive backfield. But at this point here, it looks like their offensive line has just a slight edge.
Deer Park with a 5-point lead at 20-15. As Harris drops back, he's going down the field. It's complete to Jim Burt. Burt down around the 5-yard line. Gutsy call there, gutsy call.
It sure was. Jim Burke doing a nice job running straight up the field. The ball was just slightly underthrown, enough to give the defensive back a chance to overrun the intended receiver, number 80, Jim Burke. Jim Burke doing a nice job catching the football. You got to give Harris credit. It was, as you said, a gutsy call.
That's a 35-yard gain on that 3rd down situation. And Deer Park is knocking on the door. They give it to the fullback. Mark Heaton in for the touchdown.
Another nice hole opened up by that offensive line. And Heaton doing a nice job getting the ball into the end zone.
And Griswold is on to attempt the extra point. The kick is up and good. And Deer Park takes control. And they lead it 27-15.
A big touchdown for Deer Park with little more than 2 minutes, about 2 minutes, 16 seconds left, giving them a 12-point advantage. I think it's going to be tough for Madeira to overcome that. Of course, it's been done before, Andy.
Well, a bit of a surprising call on that long pass over the middle from Mark Harris to Jim Burke, but that set up the touchdown, and looks like Deer Park will improve their record to 9-0.
Well, at this point it does, and once again, Coach Hollifield said, hey, we're going to go for it. Let's, everybody in the stands, including maybe their people, expecting us to run this thing up the middle. Let's go for it. Let's take a chance. And that's what makes it so interesting. Well, we see Dunn and Craver back deep waiting for the kickoff. Number 11, Griswold, ball on its side. Waiting for the official's whistle. We have it. Here he comes.
Griswold. The kick is fumbled by Wilkinson. Wilkinson picking it up, and he is note under short of the 30-yard line.
They are fired up, I'll tell you what.
So Deer Park leads the game 27-15, and if they can hold on to win here and then beat Amelia in their final game next week, they're probably going to go on to the state playoffs and meet Hamilton Baden in their first-round game.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're a very impressive team, both teams, for that matter. They've been aggressive, they've been well coached, well disciplined.
Here's Banks flipping it up the field. It is incomplete. Intended for number 35, Matt Jansen.
A little mix-up on that play. Jansen, the ball was thrown before he had making his break, whether or not he was running his pattern a little bit too deep or whether or not quarterback Banks just misread it, but that's that timing we talked about. Here we see the last scoring drive for Deer Park. Took 4 plays. They went 41 yards. Time 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Now Banks is back to throw. He flips it up the right side. Incomplete. And the coverage by number 33, Mark Heaton.
Good coverage that time by number 33, Heaton. It's tough now for Banks and Madeira. They know, Deer Park knows they're going to pass. They have to pass. They're dropping their people, playing the zone defense, dropping their linebackers.
Mark Heaton has played a heck of a football game. He's scored a touchdown, and he's also played the entire way on defense at linebacker. Here's Banks, back to throw on third down, incomplete. Broken up by number 43, Scott Constable, as he knocked the ball away from Tommy O'Donnell on that slant over the middle. So it's a 4th down and 10 as Banks misfires on 3 passing plays. And we have a minute 40 seconds to play.
Andy, I'm going to leave you now and get down to the field and make our presentation for our most valuable players. I think you can very capably handle it from here, can't you?
Just be careful on the way down, John.
You've seen my agility, huh?
Yes, I saw you on the playing field, and I have great confidence that you will make it down to the field. Now we have a penalty flag thrown on the field. I believe that Madeira took too much time in getting the play off here. They have their punter in the game, Chip Smith. It's a desperate situation for Madeira. They trail by 12 points with a minute 40 to play. And they have come extremely close to pulling a major upset. Madeira led 15-14 at the half. The third quarter was scoreless, but then Deer Park came up with a long, sustained drive, 14 plays, about 5 minutes, and took it in for the touchdown to take a 20-15 lead. Mark Harris getting that important touchdown on a 6-yard run, and now Deer Park has added a little icing to the cake in the final couple minutes, and they lead it 27-15. But this is by far Deer Park's toughest game of the season. Now Chip Smith, number 12, back to punt on a 4th down. He gets the kick away. There's a flag drop behind the line of scrimmage. The ball bounces into Deer Park territory, and we have an illegal procedure call against Madeira. And that's declined, and Deer Park will take the football. And they can just run out the clock now with 1:31 to play and a 12-point lead. Looks like Deer Park will go 9-0 in the season, and Madeira will drop back to 6-3 as Jim Prather looks on. He's done an excellent job with the Madeira Mustangs. Deer Park with a couple of touchdowns here in the fourth quarter, and they've taken a 12-point lead. So now it looks like Deer Park has a good chance at an undefeated season and a shot at the state playoffs in Division III. Mark Harris, who's scored 2 touchdowns and thrown for 1 more, gives it to the fullback. And that is number 33, Mark Heaton. And Mark Heaton picks up 7 or 8 yards. Deer Park has really played well on the offensive line here in the fourth quarter. That is number 22 for Madeira, one of their excellent defensive backs, Mark Stretch. He's a senior, 5'9", 165. They give it to Mark Heaton again, and the fullback has a first down out near midfield. As time runs down, we have about 25 seconds remaining in the game, and Deer Park with a hard-fought 27-15 victory, and their record goes to 9-0. Madeira certainly gave Deer Park a scare, though. It was 15-14 Madeira into the fourth quarter. And Madeira just could not get the offense rolling in the second half. As they count it down here at Deer Park Stadium, 4 seconds left to play, the final play of the ball game, and it is all over from Deer Park. The Deer Park Wildcats defeat the Madeira Mustangs 27-15, and we'll be right back with our MVP presentations in just a couple of minutes. Well, quite a scene of excitement on the field here at Deer Park Stadium as the students and members of the band have crowded out on the field to congratulate Deer Park. They are now 9-0 on the season after a 27-15 win this evening against Madeira. And just a couple of minutes, we'll go down to the field with our MVP presentation. Dave Banks of Madeira and John Stofa will be down there to present the MVP awards to Dave Banks, the quarterback for Madeira, and Mark Harris, the quarterback for Deer Park. Harris just had himself a super evening. He scored 2 touchdowns, he threw for another, and he also intercepted a Madeira pass on their final attempt at scoring, and Deer Park wins the football game 27-15. And the Deer Park Wildcats are 9-0 now. Madeira drops back to 6-3, and that pretty well blows Madeira's chances at a playoff spot. They figured if they could win tonight and their final game against Wyoming, they might get in, but now they've lost it. And it's Deer Park that seems like they're going to have an excellent shot at the playoffs. We'll be back with our MVP presentations from the field in just a moment.
It's It's all going to happen right here. The spectacular competition on Tuesday, December 15th at 7:30. One act will be chosen from the past 5 curtain call specials. Now, these 5 acts from the greater Cincinnati area have toiled and trained and proven themselves as winners for this spectacular event. And we'll need each and every one of you there at home, you to vote for your favorite act. Now, the competition is going to be tough and fierce, and the prize is going to be big. This is the prize, a big, gorgeous General Electric 25-inch color television console to the winner. The greater Cincinnati area has rarely seen such a collection of their own fine talent. So we're going to count on you to be our talent scouts to help us give away this television set to your top act of the evening. Don't miss it. The spectacular competition Tuesday, December 15th at 7:30, right here on Curtain Call. Cube Interact Channel 30.
Great football game from Deer Park this evening. The Deer Park Wildcats remain undefeated, defeating Madeira 27-15, but it certainly wasn't over until the 4th quarter when Deer Park put a couple of touchdowns up on the board and overcame a 15-14 Madeira Mustang lead. Let's go down to the field now, our MVP presentations, and John Stofa.
We're here with our Most Valuable Player of the Game awards after one of the finest high school football games that we've seen in the Cincinnati area in a long time. Unfortunately, one of the teams had to lose, but to Coach Jim Prather, excellent job, Coach. Dave Banks, on behalf of Cube, we thank you for an outstanding game. You did a super job. To the victors, Coach Hallfield, excellent job, 9-0, super season. Mark Harris, Most Valuable Player. Mark, you did a super job, Mark. Great job. Good luck to you the rest of the year, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Andy.
Thank you very much, John Stofa. A pleasure working with you once again. And as you said, one of the best football games we've seen this season, as Deer Park overcame some unaccustomed adversity tonight. They've usually dominated every football game they played, but tonight they got all they wanted from the Madeira Mustangs, and Deer Park managed to come back with a couple of second-half touchdowns to overcome that Madeira lead, and Deer Park wins it 27-15. And Deer Park looks like they've got a good shot at making the state playoffs in Division III. I'm Andy McWilliams. So long from Deer Park Stadium.